Hello everyone. This is 18th lecture on Income Tax 2 for BCom 6th semester students, and in today's class we are going to start with the topic income from other sources. Income from other sources is second half of first unit. In income from other sources, first we are going to learn what is meaning of income from other sources. As we all know, there are total 5 heads of income. One is income from salary, second is income from house property, third is profits and gains from business and profession, fourth capital gains, and fifth unit is income from other sources. So any income which is chargeable to tax but which does not fall into first 4 category, that is into salary, house property, business profession or capital gain, is treated as income from other sources. So any income that does not fit into first 4 head of income or first 4 categories of income is known or treated as income from other sources. So the meaning is any item of income chargeable to tax but does not fall into the ambit of any 4 specific head of income shall be included under 5th head of income, that is income from other sources. Income taxable in general, which is given under section 56 subsection 1, that is family pension received. Any family pension received by an assessee is not a salary, not an income from house property, nor it is profit or gain from business or profession, nor it is capital gain, so it is treated as income from other sources. Interest on deposits and loans, even this is treated as income from other sources. Salary of MP, MLC and MLA, though you are given a word here salary, but it is treated as income from other sources because MP, MLC and MLAs, there is no direct employer and employee relationship between government and these posts. So unless and until they are carrying out this post, this political post, they are paid salary by the government, but there is no employer and employee relationship between these two. That is the reason salary received by these political posts is treated as income from other sources and not income from salary. Next is income from subletting. Income from subletting means assessee is not owner of the house. Assessee is tenant. Owner is some other party. Assessee takes the property on rent basis from the owner and he gives it on rent basis to some third party. In that case, when assessee is not the owner, he is the tenant. In return, he is giving that property or part of the property to somebody else on the rent basis. So whatever rent that is received from this subletting is treated as income from other sources. Next is interest on securities such as interest on government bonds, interest on government securities, interest on debentures, etc. is income from other sources. Then agricultural income from a place outside India. Any agricultural income received in India is exempted from tax, but any agricultural income which is received from outside India is treated as income from other source. Next is examination fees received by a teacher. Salary received by a teacher is income from first head, but examination fees is not received by a teacher on monthly basis from an employer, but it is received from the university for doing the examination work. That is the reason examination fees received by a teacher is not a part of salary, but it is an income from other sources. Rent of plot of land, insurance commission received by an insurance agent, casual income in the sense those incomes which are earned without taking any efforts by the assessee. And the examples are lottery, gambling, card games, horse race. These are such incomes that are earned by assessee wherein assessee need not put any efforts in earning these incomes. That is why they are known as casual incomes. So all the casual incomes are income from other sources. Then the royalty received by the artist, any fees, commission or remuneration received from other than employer. Any fees, commission or remuneration received from employer is income from salary. But any fees, commission or remuneration which is received from other than the employer has to be treated as income from other sources. Similarly, there are many income from other sources such as ground rent received, interest on foreign securities, fees of the director, income from undisclosed sources, compensation received for use of business assets, income derived from ferries and fisheries. All these are treated as income from other sources. There are many income from other sources, but these are the few examples that are given which are treated as income from other sources. Coming to next, admissible specific deductions under section 57 means on these all incomes you can claim exemptions or deductions under section 57. One is commission or remuneration received, next is interest on loan, then contribution of employees, then other expenses if they are specified under section 57 subsection 3, then these all incomes can be deductible under section 57. Coming to next part, expenses not deductible under section 58. If there are any personal expenses incurred by assessee, they are not to be deducted while computing income from other sources. Next is any interest payable outside India on which tax is not deducted at source. That means you are paying some interest outside India, but TDS is not made or paid in the India. In that case, even that expenses is not deductible under section 58. You need to pay tax on that. Next is wealth tax is not deductible. Expenses concerned with exempted income. Exempted income is already that part of income wherein assessee need not pay the tax. So any expenses related to that exempted income need not be deducted again. So these are some of the expenses which are given under section 58 which are not deductible while computing income from other sources. Coming to next, the term or the concept tax deducted at source. TDS is tax deducted at source and the person responsible for payment is liable to deduct the tax. You need to understand here, the person who is going to receive will not deduct this, but the person who is going to make the payment is supposed to deduct this TDS at specified rate before making the payment. So TDS is deductible from the part of the payer and not from the part of the receiver. So before making the payment, he has to first deduct that part of TDS and then he has to make payment to the assessee. And the TDS deducted is a part of income of the assessee. Therefore, it should be added back in the net income by crossing up. This is some technical part. When we solve sums on this TDS based sums, you will understand it better. But just understand it, whatever income that is received by assessee, already the part of TDS is deducted from the income and then he has received the net income. So while computing income from other sources, we do not require net income but we require the gross income. So to find out the gross income, we have to add back the amount of TDS that is deducted. So TDS is, it is the person responsible for the payment is liable to deduct the TDS before making the payment, and the TDS deducted has to be added back because the amount that is received by assessee is net income, but we should find it gross income for the computation of income from other sources. And what is grossing up? It means the ascertaining of gross income on the basis of net income received when TDS is made, and the grossing up is to be done because TDS is made by the person responsible for making payment of income. And there are two methods of grossing up. One is when net income received and TDS amount is given in the sum. In question, if you are given net income received plus you are given amount of TDS that is deducted, there is one method of grossing up. Second method of grossing up is when net income received is only given, means you are not given the TDS in the sum. Let us see how it is calculated. The formula is when net income and TDS both the amounts are given in the sum, then grossing up is done as net amount received divided by tax deducted. So this is how the grossing up is done. And when only net income received is given, in that case net income into 100 divided by 100 minus rate of TDS. So when you are given both the values, the formula is simple, that is net income received divided by TDS. But when you are not given the TDS amount, in that case you have to calculate as net income into 100 divided by 100 minus TDS. Now this is one of the important part under income from other sources, that is classification of securities. Securities are classified into four: tax-free government securities, tax-free commercial securities, and less tax securities. Let us understand these one by one. First is tax-free government securities. At present, we do not find these tax-free government securities because government has stopped issuing these. So at present, these types of securities are not existing as the government is not issuing the securities. Second is government securities. These are either issued by state government or the central government, and no tax is deducted at source. So no grossing up is required. In case of 8% saving bond, interest exceeds 10,000 per annum, then the TDS is deducted at 10%. Next is tax-free commercial securities. These are the securities which are issued by local authority or statutory corporation or a company in the form of debentures or bonds. These are not issued by the government, but these are issued by other parties than the government. That is why these are known as commercial securities. And the amount of interest received is net interest. So grossing up is compulsory to add the tax paid by the issuing authority. So what is done here is the interest or the return that is paid on these commercial securities is after deducting the tax TDS itself. Therefore, it is the net amount that is received by the assessee, but we require gross amount, so compulsorily grossing up has to be done when we calculate income from other sources in relation to tax-free commercial securities. Why it is known as tax-free commercial securities? Because already the issuing authority pays the tax on it. Assessee need not pay tax on it. That is the reason it is known as tax-free. Tax-free does not mean that no tax has to be paid on the income on that securities. Tax-free means the issuing authority pays the tax and the receiving person need not pay tax on it. That is the reason it is known as tax-free commercial securities. And last one is less tax securities. These are issued by companies, local authorities, etc., wherein the tax is deducted at the source on gross interest and the balance is paid to the assessee. So these are four different classification of securities. One is tax-free government securities, which is not existing. Second is government securities, which are issued by the government to the public. Next is tax-free commercial securities. These are not issued by the government but some other parties to make a business or to make a trade. And last one is less tax securities, which are issued by the companies. This is what you had to study in today's class. In next class, we are going to start with the problems on income from other sources.